Hey everybody, this video was requested by Charlie Cat over on my Neo Geo New Year's Eve marathon video. I was telling the story of how I got my Neo Geo AES, and he thought that was an interesting story and he wanted me to do a video on it. So here we go. For those of you who don't know, the Neo Geo AES didn't sell too well. It sold just under 1 million consoles worldwide. It was manufactured between 1990 to 97. That's what I read. I'm not 100% sure. Of course, it wasn't popular. That's why it's hard to get information on this. But it sold the games from 1990 to 2004. The last game being Samurai Showdown 5 Special. And one of the reasons why it didn't sell too well is because it was expensive. It was $650 when it was in retail. The gold edition. There was also a silver edition, which was cheaper, but it didn't come with a game or a second controller. The gold and it didn't have the memory card. Sometimes I believe the stores would throw it in for free, but that depended on the store. So it was expensive, the console. But not only the console was expensive, it was the games that were really what was expensive. The cheapest I seen them new was 170 something for a game, but on average it was about $200 a game. Now in comparison to another expensive system that came out at the time, the 3DO, that sold for like $700 just the console, but that sold 2 million consoles worldwide in a shorter amount of time that was sold. It sold from 1993 to I believe 96, 97, and that sold 2 million consoles. But the reason why it sold more was the games were cheaper. They had CDs, they were like around $50. So for about one Neo Geo AES game, you can get about 4 games on the 3DO. So that's one of the reasons why it sold better, even though the console itself was more expensive. But of course it adds up when you start getting games. And since, if you know economics, since so few of these were sold back then, very few existing now, and plus with demand, of course the price is going to go higher. So it was expensive back then to buy the system, and it's expensive now. Now I'm going to get into the story that Charlie Cat wanted me to talk about. Now, when I was about ready to buy a Neo Geo AES console, mainly thanks to the YouTube monetization, which I'm currently not a partner anymore, which I'm now trying to reapply. Hopefully I'll get back in. So with the extra money, I was now ready to go for the most expensive console there is to buy right now. I started to buy this stuff for the Neo Geo from the beginning of 2018 in January. Basically, with my pool of money in the PayPal, I'd get whatever was cheaper first. So I didn't even get the console first. The first thing I got was King of the Monsters in January. I'll also tell a story on that too. It's not the main story that Charlie Cat wanted to hear, but I'm gonna talk about it. Alright. So basically, I buy these all off eBay because I never seen these when they were new in the stores. I never saw them locally anywhere. With my pool of money, I'd get whatever would come first, either the game or the system, which happened to be the game right here, King of the Monsters, CIB. Now this one, I believe it started at 99 cents. It was a bidding war. Funny, the day that the auction was supposed to end, we had a snowstorm, and the power shut out for a little while. So I was like, oh Jesus Christ, of all the days, this when the fucking bidding ends, to have the power shut out. But it came on before the auction ended. See, now usually when I bid on things, I usually wait for the last 20, 15, or even 10 seconds before I throw my max bid. That's usually the best way to do it, because there's always people, when you throw in your bid, they like to, what they were prepared to pay for, they say, alright, I'll see $5 more, I'll throw in $5 more, and this is the case of what happened here. So since there was a snowstorm and I wasn't sure if the power would go out again, so I threw my max bid in at 30 seconds. And there was also another guy watching at the last few seconds, which is usually where the real action happens to all of these auctions. Now this guy, here I got it written down. Bid war, last 30 seconds, when I threw in my bid, it was at around 117. Then the other bidder upped the bid slowly, kept adding $5 to his max bid. It was 20, 25, 30, 35, and finally it ended at let's see, ended at 154. Too bad I didn't. Here's what I read. Too bad I didn't throw it in at last 20 seconds. It would have been cheaper. So that's why you should really wait until the last, really down to the wire to throw in your max bid, because there's always someone saying, figuring like, okay, I'll throw in 5 more. Okay, let's see if I can go over it with the next $5, and you can see he just went up, 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 up. So yeah, so basically this story I could have gotten cheaper, but now this is the main game that I want to get for the AES. If there was only one game I wanted to get for the AES, it was this game, King of the Monsters. I played this one back in '91 at a Ground Round restaurant on the MVS. Anyway, I got it cheaper than what I was looking for years on eBay. It was always $200. That was what they're asking for a complete in box. And I got the manual game and the original case, so I still got it cheaper, even with the shipping and handling, which was $169. Now, of course, over the months, that was in January, over the months I also got the other games because they were cheap. Whatever popped up first for cheaper. I got Fatal Fury, then I believe Nom 1975, and then finally, the next thing to pop up is here's the story that Charlie Cat wanted me to tell. Of the console itself, this was on. Now, originally, this system got sold. I didn't have the max bid. This was in May 28th of 2018. Originally sold for $465 plus $27.95 shipping where I was at. So for other people, it could be different price of shipping. So it was a grand total of $492.95. My highest bid at the time was $410. So now as about a month goes by, I see the same system by the same seller and the same pictures and everything. Now I'm thinking, what's going on here? Is this a scam or something? So I messaged the guy and I asked him what's going on here. Now he says the guy didn't pay for it, so he re-uploaded the system onto eBay. Alright, since I've been waiting 7 months to finally get the system, I figure I'll take the chance. If it turns out to be a scam, I'm willing to go through the eBay return policy. Anyway, so I go to bid on this on July 5th, 2018. Now, I remember it was real low at the time. Down to the last seconds, of course, I throw my final highest bid, which was $232.50. Well, no, I don't think it was that low. I threw in my like 500 or 400, whatever the fuck it was. I threw all I had. That was in my PayPal. And I was waiting to the last few seconds, and then it ends, and I see the price was so low. I was like, did it end, or do I have to refresh? What's the real price? Because usually at the last second, usually people snipe you, and then it goes up first low, and then when it ends, the price goes high. I was wondering, did I really win? Is there a glitch or something? Because it was way too low. I was expecting it would go back up to 400 or 500. But like I said to Charlie Cat, now this is the story he wanted me to tell. The reason it didn't go up that high, like I told him, is most people thought it was a scam, like I thought it was originally. Why is the same guy selling the same AES with the same pictures and everything? But of course, I was one of the few people who actually ask questions and find out what's going on here, so it looked like it wasn't a scam. He had a good rating on eBay, so I was willing to take the chance, but it looks like the other people weren't willing to take the chance of bidding on it. So that's, in my opinion, why I think I got so low. The other people thought it was too risky. Of course, anyone getting into Neo Geo AES, specifically the US one, that's the one I got, which are very rare to find, so anyone looking for it at the same time, it's probably like me. I was for about 7 months every day on eBay looking on what's new, any new systems popping up, which rarely happens. So they must have saw the same thing it going up a month earlier, so they thought it was a scam and didn't bid on it. So that's how I got it for real cheap, for a grand total of $260.49. Now with the extra money that I was originally going to pay for just the system, I got cross swords, and the Super Spy. Now, if you're looking on eBay as much as I have, the US system usually sells for around $500, give or take different things in the package. Sometimes it has a controller, sometimes it has all the hookups, sometimes it has 2 controllers, sometimes it's missing a controller but has a couple of games. It's very rarely do you see just the system, so if you want to piece together cheaper over time, instead of just one large lump sum up front, although that's probably the best way to do it. Make sure you have the right hookups and everything, because these ones take different hookups. Here, I'll get to that in a second. Now, where was my train of thought going? Oh yeah, the Japanese version is cheaper. You can usually get for like $230, maybe with the hookups and a controller, whereas the American version, which is rarer, which is about $500. Now, what came in the package of what I got the system, the US system. I got the AC adapter, which I see usually goes for $90. I got 2 US controllers, which here's something unique. On the US one, it has this little sticker. I also got a Japanese controller, which didn't have any stickers like this. Neo Geo SNK core made in Japan. Neo model number Neo AEC. That's how you determine if it's American or not. The American one has AEC, where the Japanese one is Neo Zero. Now, I have seen a Neo Zero with the FCC sticker. I'll show you that right now. Of course, if you don't know, the FCC is an American organization, so the Japanese one have this sticker right here. So, like Charlie Cat said, sometimes people switch the bottoms to make like a Japanese one look like an American one. So the guy said it was a US one that had English. Another system I was bidding on. The one I saw that had the Neo Zero but had the FCC sticker. He said it was English, but not sure on that. So I don't know if someone took a Japanese bottom and put the FCC stickers to try and pass it off as English. Oh, what the fuck. I'm not looking at the camera here. I'm seeing where the sticker is. So yeah, looking for the US model that plays English, because the reason why that's important is it's the system that decides what language shows up on the TV. Most of the games have all the languages on the cartridge. What determines what shows up is the BIOS in the system. So there's very few exceptions, like the Mahjong games and the quiz games that they're just Japanese. They never put it on it because it's too wordy, so there's no English on that. Even if you put it in the US system, it's not on there. But for the most part, most of the games have all the languages on them. You just need the system to determine if it'll be Japanese or English. I'll pop up. The other things on the back what you should look for, what AC adapter. You don't want to fry the boards with the wrong adapter. This one's a Pro PAL. This gotta match it up with this. You see it, the Pro PAL right here. Model number Neo Zero. There's also Pro PAL 2 and Pro PAL 3. That's the ones I've seen so far. That might be more or not. I don't know. Now, also what I was looking for when buying the Neo Geo, I wanted a US console and I wanted a low number. The reason why that, they say the lower the number, the better the RGB signal that comes out of it, because the later models, they sacrifice the RGB signal to get a better composite signal. I have component cables for this. HD Retrovision made them. It takes the RGB signal, translates it into a YPBPR signal, and it sends it through a component cable. So I got a real low number. So also what's interesting, I just wanted it for the low number for the better RGB signal, but Charlie Cat said that another guy on the Neo Geo thread over at Atari Age called Zap originally bought this back in 1990, and the low number determines it was a part of the first shipment of consoles. So this looks like it was a rental, one of the rental consoles in the first shipment. So that's pretty unique and historic. Also, the rental units came in a white box as opposed to the black boxes, which most people know or have seen. the gold edition, which most people are familiar with, and then there was a silver edition, which I told you before. So yeah, that was also another thing I was wondering about, since there's very little information on this. I was looking, what the fuck are these white boxes? I know of the black boxes. Well, it looks like that's the reason. The white boxes were the original 1990 rental unit boxes, and then in 91 they released it to the public in the black boxes. Alright. Oh yeah, I was telling you what was also in the package. I also got, I'll get to this in a second, also came with the 2 AV cables. I was telling Mastercast TV about this. I was wondering why there was 2 AV wires that came with it, one in the box, one without. Like I said, usually when people sell their collections, they throw everything in that they have, so I guess he had an actual one and just threw it in. No real reason to have 2 AV wires just thrown in. Now also, when I was trying to get, I just wanted to get the system and the hookups originally when I was looking for it. Also extra that came in here that I really like, but I wasn't trying to go for, was the memory card. Now this is unique. If you play the Neo Geo AES, having this makes the games very easy or very hard, because most games only give you 4 credits to beat the game, and if you play Neo Geo games, even if you're playing on easy, they're very hard to beat, especially when you only got 4 credits to beat the whole game. But with the memory card, this saves you at the level, and even if you die, you get those 4 credits again. If you don't have this, you have to beat the game in 4 credits. If you have this, you get 4 credits per level, which makes things very easy at that point. Also, you can also use this in the arcade. You can use it both in the AES and the arcade. People are wondering, if you bought the system, why would you have the memory card? Why would you go to the arcade? I guess you played the game, you bought the memory card and you played the game in the arcade, and then when you bought the system, then you have your saves for when you get the system. That's what I figure it's for. Or maybe I'd like to know if anyone just bought the memory card but never bought the AES and just used the memory card for the arcade. I'd like to know. Now there's one game I wish I had this for. I wish they did this with other arcade games, like there's this one game, Alien 3: The Gun. I never got to beat that in the arcade. Although I played it many times, I didn't have enough money to ever beat it all the way through. I kept playing the same 2 levels with the limited quarters I had at the time. Now if I had this, I could have beaten the game. I'll probably do a playthrough on that. I'll show you that game. That's one of my favorite arcade games, Alien 3: The Gun. Now, the other arcade games that I beat were like at birthday parties when I get like $10. Let's see, I beat Jurassic Park, the arcade game. I beat Alien vs. Predator. I beat Vampire Savior in the arcade. I beat the Time Crisis games. Time Crisis 2, Crisis Zone, and I believe Time Crisis 3. That's nice. Got the 2 US controllers, even though I had a Japanese arcade stick from my Neo Geo CD. I bought that back in 2017 October. This I got in July 5th, 2018, day after Independence Day. Yeah, I forgot to mention about the RGB signals and the composite signals. I forgot to. Now there's two different ones I could find. So like I said, not much information on this. Here's 2 different what they say with the serial numbers on the RGB signal and composite signal. Some say get under 90,000 for the best RGB. Now you can see the ones under. Here's another one that says under 86,000 for the best RGB with the OK composite. 86 to 126,000 is OK RGB with a very good composite signal. Then you got over here very shitty RGB signal for a very good composite signal. And this was another one I saw. You see how it's very different. It says the earlier ones had OK, both OK RGB and composite, going down. Some say the 20,000 to 33,000 had the best RGB signal with OK composite, and of course the later models had the best composite with the very shitty RGB signal. But again, not much information. I don't know which one's true. I just went for the usually the original models have all the bells and whistles, and it's over time the different models and revision, they take the shit out to make it more cost effective, so I went with the original one. Before I go, I'm going to show some stats for the Neo Geo. The largest meg count is King of Fighters 2003 with 716 megabits, not bytes, bits. The smallest meg count for a game is Puzzled with 22 megabits. League Bowling is 26 because I always got confused which one was the smallest. Was it League Bowling or Puzzles, which is also called Joy Joy Kids in Japan. So they also changed the names of the games and the regions. The first game is Nam 1975, December 1990. That's what it says, but I heard they got the rental AES units out earlier, and of course the arcade MVS I believe was February 90. Again, like I said, I keep repeating, not much information to confirm this. The last game, as I said before, was Samurai Showdown 5 Special. That was released July 15th, 2004. Most sequels is King of Fighters with 10 games from King of Fighters 94 to 2003. And the total number of games, different games, is 156 through the three formats, the MVS, AES, and CD. 148 games for the MVS, 122 for the AES, no exclusives between the three. Everything that's on the AES is also on the MVS, but then again, it's the same game. So, but the reason why you need a converter between the for the AES to MVS instead of just being able to plug in either one is because the MVS cartridges were made to make money for the arcade owner, so they were more expensive, whereas the home console, the AES, wasn't made for profit, so they're cheaper. I know $200 isn't cheap, but then again, the MVS carts went for $700 to $1,000, so I heard. I don't know, I haven't no way of confirming this. And Neo Geo CD has 97 CD games with 8 exclusives. Exclusives between the three formats. I know they've been ported to some other consoles like the PlayStation. The Samurai Showdown RPG was on PlayStation, Saturn. The Mahjong game was also on the 3DO. But the exclusive one is the one I got, Cross Swords 2, which hasn't been ported to anything. Though it's been unofficially ported to the MVS homebrew. So if you're looking to buy an official copy, the only way you can get it is Neo Geo CD. Alright, now before I go, I got another story to add here, even though Charlie Cat didn't ask me to. I'm just going to add all the Neo Geo stuff, stories I have. Like I said, I originally got the, well actually first I got the Neo Geo Pocket in 2006. That also another interesting story. I was delivered on New Year's Eve. I came to the door, I saw the little sticker. I did tell the story to the Fighting Game Fanatic though. I came home, I saw the sticker on the door that I was delivered, but since I wasn't there to pick it up, they took it with them. I jumped back in the car and I went looking for the mail truck, and then I found him a block away and I asked him, I showed him the sticker, do you have it? And he gave it to me. So I got that for Christmas Eve, so I didn't have to wait. Of course, the mail is closed on Christmas, and I'm not sure if it's closed the day after, so at least I didn't have to wait. Alright, now then I went to next system I got with the SNK is the Neo Geo CD. I got that October 2017. Again, one of my biggest paydays on YouTube. Since I had so much, I said, fuck it, I'll get a new system. That one I got Japanese, but I was able to, I guess, modify it to make it play in English. Of course, the Neo Geo CD sold even less than the Neo Geo AES. One of the things is, although the prices aren't too bad as the AES or MVS, because supply and demand, it's got a low supply but also has a low demand, mainly because of the load times. So most people don't buy it. They usually go for the hot thing is that right now is the consoleized MVS, is where they take the board out of the arcade and they put it into a shell that's basically a console, just like what the AES is. So basically, the cheapest way to go if you want to play the Neo Geo stuff is usually the CD, sometimes the MVS, but it looks like people are getting hip to the consoleized MVS where it doesn't take up much space, so it looks like the prices are going up on the MVS stuff. While the CD stuff isn't too bad, because of the load times, it's not that sought after. Especially the English stuff, more rarer than the Japanese stuff. The prices aren't that bad. I'll get to that in a second. Basically, to start off the story, there's this one guy called T. Bogard that I bought him from. Can't miss that name if you're buying the SNK Neo Geo stuff. He also had the picture of Terry Bogard. So, I bought this from him. Oh yeah, going to another story, another good eBay story. So basically, with this Terry Bogard guy on eBay, he was selling all his Neo Geo CD stuff, and I don't know if he had the whole library of the Neo Geo CD. I didn't ask him on that. Basically, let's see. Here's some of the others. I always write down the prices to see if I'm paying too much. Usually what I do is I watch an auction and I see what it sells for, and I try and get cheaper than what that auction sold for. Because most people say, oh, the reason why game prices are so high now is because of resellers, crying and moaning and going on. Well, how about an auction that starts at 99 cents and then goes up? No reseller set that price. It goes for what people are willing to pay for it. So these prices are what people are willing to pay for it, not some reseller just saying, oh, here, it's $1 million or whatever the fuck it is. Basic economics. Anything goes for what anyone's willing to pay for it. Okay, said that right. Jesus. That's why I like annotations. YouTube got rid of my annotations. I can clarify things, everything I got to do in one go. Got all this shit going on. Alright, so Terry Bogard was selling a bunch of his stuff. I was into getting the Fatal Fury games, as you can see right here. I saw there was the same bidders on all these games. There's this one guy who placed a bid on all the Fatal Fury games, FXXXT. Of course, they somewhat censor it, but I seen him on all these auctions. He put $25 and a penny on all except Fatal Fury 2 and Fatal Fury 1. $35 and 1 cent on these two. Now the main one I wanted to get and I got was Fatal Fury 2 out of all the Fatal Fury games I was up for sale that I was willing to buy. So I placed a bid to see how high am I wasting my time over a week? Is it already over what I'm willing to spend? So I placed like $20. I see it was over $20. Now my worry was the one I wanted. Now that they're all pretty much even in the what the current bid was at the time. So, but the Fatal Fury 2 was the most expensive because of me at that point. So I was worried that people would start to be more willing to bid on it, because most people would probably think that one I got. People are willing to pay for it more quickly, so that must be the good one. So they might be more willing to spend more money because it's the good one. So what I was worried, that's what I was worried about. I don't know if that's how other people think. So what I did was I raised the bid on all the other Fatal Fury stuff to like $20 or so. Now I know people are saying, well, when's if you won those? So what I did is one at a time, I raised them up to $20 so it'd get closer to Fatal Fury 2, which was the one I wanted. So of course it said you were outbid. So I got pushed the price up a little bit. So they're close to Fatal Fury 2, so no one would think, those ones must be the shitty ones if nobody's bidding on them. And that's the good one. That's where I got to throw all my money at. So I got them close to where Fatal Fury 2 was, and then I finally went over the edge on it was like $35. So anyway, by the end of it, here's the prices that they sold for. So Fatal Fury 1 sold for $54. Fatal Fury Special was the most expensive one, sold for $89. Real Bout was sold for $26. Real Bout 2, $71.75, and I got the Fatal Fury 2 for $48.70 or $42. And of course, the one guy here, FXXXT, won none of them. So even though he bid on all of them, I guess he wasn't such a high roller or a rich guy. He might have been one of those guys like the original AES system who wouldn't pay. Yeah. So that was my little story there on getting the Fatal Fury for a somewhat reasonable price. Make sure nobody was thinking this one was the best one, since it was the one with the highest at the time, highest price at the time. I was watching the other bids. That I wasn't going on for the King of Fighters stuff. So if you want to know the prices on auction, which people consider the real price things go for, what people are willing to pay for, here's some of the prices. KOF 95 went for $20.50, 86 for 26, 97 for 56. Surprisingly, most people say 98 is the best King of Fighter in the series, but that went real cheap for 29. 99 went for 36. Now down to my last story. I bought these two games. I bought from the same guy, T. Bogard. Of course, with a name like T. Bogard, he's obviously a SNK fan. So I asked him a question on why he was selling his Neo Geo CDs. Of course, the Neo Geo CDs are very rare. I never seen them. They're rarer than the AES stuff, particularly the English Neo Geo CD stuff. So I wanted to know. I'm wondering if anyone else does. I messaged him. Well, here it is. To T. Bogard. Here's what I said. Just wondering, Terry Bogard. I just bought Go Kaiser from you, and a couple of weeks back I bought Fatal Fury 2 from you. What I was wondering, judging by your name, Terry Bogard, and profile pic, and how many mint English Neo Geo CD games you are selling, you must be a big fan of SNK Neo Geo. Just wondering why a big fan is selling everything. Are you selling it and going for a consoleized MVS, which everybody into Neo Geo seems to be doing these days? Also back in the 90s, who sold Neo Geo CD? I don't recall seeing it in stores, though I wasn't actively looking for Neo Geo things back then. I hope you don't mind me asking. Thanks in advance. Alright, and here's what he responded. Sure, I don't mind it, you asking. I became a Neo fan in the early 90s and worked as a pizza delivery boy to save and buy the Gold Edition AES. I quickly realized that was gonna be too expensive to maintain. I sold my AES and used the money to buy the Neo CD when that came out. I bought the CD from NCSX Online, a local mom and pop store, and this import game store in San Francisco. I believe that's what SF stands for. Please, place back then. Babbage's EB and games etc. did not carry them since they were a niche back then. At this point, I just don't have the time to play and have an expanding family, so the extra money will help a lot. I'm also happy to see other collectors get something they have probably been searching for years. I know it took me years to fill some holes in my collection, but when I did, I was super happy. Hope you enjoy your game. Take care, T. Bogard. April 30th, 2018. Of course, at the time I was, did I have the internet? I forget if I had my computer at the time. That I think that's why I written this down, so I printed it and saved it to the computer. I got the, when the hell did I get my new computer? Fuck it. I'll probably write it down later sometime. Fuck it. Alright, now this guy I didn't message. This was in the description. King of Fighters 95. Tough to find US version of King of Fighters 95. Jewel case is original and has embroidered Neo Geo logo in the upper right hand corner on the case. The case does show some normal shelfware. I purchased this game over 20 years ago, and it unfortunately did not come with the spine card when I bought it. The disc is pretty nice shape, and I did not see any scratches on it. I purchased the consoleized MVS about a year ago, and I am selling off the few remaining Neo Geo CD games I have. After years of collecting, game will ship out the following business day. After purchase, please message me for any questions. Neo Star eBay description. Yeah. That seems to be the two big things of why people sell their Neo Geo stuff. Either they're selling the other stuff for consoleized MVS because the prices are lower than the AES, but seems like the CD stuff is even lower than that, but people don't like the load time, so it's not as sought after. So they're selling it because they're going to the consoleized MVS, or they have a family coming on the way. So moral of that story is don't have kids. Yeah, because when you're buying Neo Geo stuff, it's one of the most expensive consoles to get into. You're not just gonna be impulse buying a Neo Geo. You gotta be hardcore when you buy this stuff, so that's why I was asking the questions to T. Bogard there, especially because he had the profile pic of Terry Bogard and had the name of Terry Bogard as his profile on eBay, so he's pretty hardcore into the SNK Neo Geo stuff. So that's about it on this video. Some other requests that are coming up. Jacques Lewis asked me to do a live stream of Dino Crisis, so that'll be on its way. But first, what's taking so long is I gotta find a headset mic, because as you heard from my last two streams, the audio isn't as good, because it was the only audio that I have working is off the webcam, which I don't like. I gotta be right next to it, so I gotta do my research on that and buy the headset. Now the game itself, Dino Crisis, I don't have at the moment, but I can borrow it from my brother. I believe he still has it. He bought that back in the late 90s. Or I can buy it. It's one of the cheaper games, and it's on my list of games to get, so I'll be getting that soon. And Charlie Cat also requested another thing to do, a live stream of Silent Hill, which I do have. I'll show you. Of course, I bought this when the movie came out, so it was the price was up there because everybody else was going to buy this game because the movie just came out. It was there in the public conscious. Now this is a real deal game with the real deal case. The only thing it didn't come with a manual, so I'm looking for the real deal manual. What else is there? That seems to be about it. Those videos will be coming soon once I get the headset. Alright guys, I'll see you next video.